Father Bear soared through the church. It was pure joy. The people in the pews looked up in wonder, seeing the glory of God in each movement. This was why he became a priest. All of God's children would come home when they saw the wonders he wrought. God allowed his beloved children to fly, transported with ecstasy. This was what the saints felt. This was what he had been looking for all his life. This was... The gentle buzz of his Fitbit wristband was the first dose of reality in Father Bear's morning. His unwilling mind began to leave the dream. Maybe if he rolled over, pulled the pillow over his head, he could go back. It was soft and so warm in his bed. Then he remembered what was on the other side of the door. What would his parishioners think if they saw him sneaking out his window? It wasn't that far to the ground. It was possible. Taking a deep breath, he hit the button to stop the vibrating band, and slowly sat up, swinging his feet over the edge. The linoleum was cold, so cold. His feet had a much better sense of self-preservation than his mind. They retreated back to the bed on their own. Where were those slippers? Slippers secured, there was no excuse to stay abed. Father Bear loved his predecessor for insisting on private bathrooms. But what did he have against carpet? He shuffled to the bathroom creakily, used the facilities, washed his hands and face. If he shaved now, he would cut his lips right off. Hands on either side of the sink, he peered at his face, looking for remnants of the dream. Surely such a powerful experience would be visible. It must have changed him. No, just ordinary, everyday man. How could God give the desires and calling, then just leave him hanging? In all his years, he'd done everything they asked. Grew the parish, paid off the debt, visited the sick, listened to every conflicting complaint. Even started the first Catholic school in the diocese in over 50 years. It was getting pretty crowded in there. Each class was full with a waiting list. Fundraising again, expansion plans be damned. He looked up at the mirror again. Still an ordinary man. Avoiding even looking at the door, he moved to the prie-dieu in the counter and reached for his book. The aged, well-worn leather was soft and pliable. It even smelled like home. What a pleasure to hold, and an anchor for his soul. He knelt and began the lauds. O Lord, open my lips, and my mouth shall proclaim your praise. As he softly sang the words, he heard the soaring voices of the choir at St. Meinrad Archabbey. It was a balm for the soul of an ordinary man. Working and praying in solidarity with his sisters and brothers around the world, the kingdom became possible. Have mercy on me, God, have mercy. It would take oceans of mercy, love, and forgiveness to get his soul into heaven. But his God was up to the task. With a quick glance over his shoulder at the door, Father Bear knew that God would get a workout today. In the shadow of your wings I take refuge. Would God mind if he changed the words around a bit? How about, in the shadow of my room I take refuge? It was so nice here. He could work on his poetry, or more honestly, what he hoped would become his poetry. All that was in the beautiful leather volume his sister gave him for Christmas was the inscription, Most Excellent Theophilus, now is the time to begin. If he stayed in the shadow of his room, he could sleep and not worry about the potbelly that his doctor was so concerned with. He could clean the bathroom, a true sign of desperation or the end times. I call to you, God the Most High, to God who provides for me. Please provide that the living room was empty, but soft sounds belied that hope. Please provide a door to an alternate universe, one where he stayed at St. Meinrad's. The peace and quiet of the cloister, someone else to cook for him. Surely God loved him enough to provide. My heart is ready, O God, my heart is ready, but my head is not. Maybe pants would help. A dressing gown was no way to approach the door. Job had it right. Gird up your loins like a man. Surely pants would fix this problem. For your mercy reaches to the heavens, and your truth reaches to the skies. Could it please extend to the living room and sweep the floor clean and empty? Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as always before, so now and ever after. Amen. With a final sign of the cross, Father Bear rose and moved to the closet. His options were few, but each moment here was another moment of peace and safety. Black cotton, black wool, black polyester. September in Union could be blistering. Cotton it was. School logo, purple polo, black socks and shoes. He was dressed far too quickly, but the door had to be faced. He crossed to the door, hesitated, hand on the knob. With a final prayer for strength and courage, he turned the knob. As he pulled the door toward himself, he heard the soft telling noise. Maybe he could shut the door. What would be so terrible? Steeling himself, he opened the door. There, standing in the hall, was Father Newpriest, all shiny and happy, list of today's improvements in his hand. It was too much to bear.